Surprisingly, number 5 was an extremely difficult decision to make. I somehow managed to have like 3 times more games to choose from than I normally would to put on this list. While the top 4 seemed pretty set in stone about halfway through the year, I've been really struggling to decide what game goes at number 5. But just because of how chill and satisfying it was to complete, my number 5 is going to Power Wash Simulator. No joke, this decision changed pretty much daily, and it just so happened that, I wrote and recorded this on a day where Power Wash Simulator won. So this game kind of came out of nowhere for me. I had seen it while it was in early access and I didn't really get the appeal of it. But then it came to Game Pass and I played it for a laugh with Nick and Bunchy, cleaning the train, and it hooked me. I actually played through it twice, once in co-op and again by myself. It was a pretty solid game to play while watching a show, having a YouTube video on, or just chilling with a podcast. Hearing the wee ding as you complete a section was unbelievably satisfying, and watching the gif it creates at the end of the level just makes it so much better. Gameplay wise, you power wash stuff to get money to buy new power washers and attachment to help clean bigger and bigger levels. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out and want something chill to play, give it a go, as I believe they will be releasing new levels soon-ish.
What scares you? I mean, really scares you?
For number 4, I have Not For Broadcast, and I think it's been well documented throughout Game Club that I have a bit of a soft spot for FMV games. Not For Broadcast was one of my choices for it. I have to say this is probably the best FMV game I've played, and I think I portrayed my love for this game pretty well on Game Club. It's been a while since I recorded, so fingers crossed I did. I'll just give a brief summary of the stuff here, but if you want more in depth, obviously go check out that episode. But the gameplay is very unique. You're controlling what goes on in a live broadcast, and it's actual people acting out the scenes. So you can beep whatever you want, you can change to whatever screen you want. But obviously if you make the wrong decisions and do the wrong thing, the audience goes down. The options in that game are incredible. You can customize the difficulty to whatever degree you want. So for example, I think I played through half the game and decided I really didn't like the frequency toggle you had to do, so I just turned that off and it automatically did it itself pretty much. The story, as someone who has studied politics a lot in my life, went to uni for it, studied it in school, the story actually really appealed to me. Just seeing this brand new government full of promises and big ideas slowly walk towards the slippery slope that leads to authoritarianism and just pure chaos, deaths, war, rebellions. It's crazy and I love it. It does have its negatives in terms of it holds the record for most footage recorded for an FMV game, but you have to dive deep into the game to fully see it all, which is quite sad because the humor in it is so good, the acting is so good, the random scenarios they created for the different story pieces and stuff are incredible. So it's kind of a shame. So yeah, great game. To wrap it up, love this game, and if you have any interest in FMV games, you probably will too. At number 3, I have Metal Hellsinger. I've played a crap ton of Guitar Hero and Rock Band in my day. And when I say that, I really do mean a crap ton. When I initially heard about this, I was like, an FPS rhythm game? I don't know how I feel about that. But then I heard snippets from the soundtrack, I was like, wait, a rhythm game with metal music? Hell yeah, sign me up. The gameplay itself was grand. It's an FPS game. You're shooting demons to the rhythm of a song. For some people it could get a bit repetitive, but for me the music was good enough to cover that up. I don't think I ever got bored with it. I went and completed all the challenges. I played most of the levels on the highest difficulty, so As you'd expect, I failed quite a lot and ended up having to replay the levels quite a bit in some cases, and I never found it repetitive, but I mean, I can see why people might. I love me some metal music, and I couldn't believe some of the people they got for some of the tracks. They had collabs with singers from Arch Enemy, Lamb of God, Trivium, even System of a Down. There's a few other bands in there I'm not overly familiar with as well, so the lineup just seemed pretty nuts to me. My favourite songs from it are Stygia and This Devastation, so if you want to see what the music's like, go check them out. The story was fine. I mean, you're basically working your way up to kill the devil, I believe it was. It's not particularly memorable for me, to be honest, but the art design for the various demons doing the story cutscenes was pretty cool. Yeah, great metal rhythm game, and it makes it to my number 3. About halfway through the year, I always knew what would be fighting for the first and second spots in this list, but at number 2 I have A Plague Tale Requiem. This was very close to being my number 1. I was a wee bit salty for it not winning anything at the Game Awards, so the temptation rose a wee bit to put it at number 1. While I really loved the story and characters, there are a few bits of gameplay that hold this back for me and drop it down to the number 2. The stealth sections are not the most enjoyable to deal with in the game. It felt like the areas where you had to sneak across felt a lot bigger. Don't get me wrong, I had the smaller, confined stealth stuff as well, but the bigger, more open stealth areas in this game felt a lot more punishing. I ended up just trying to cheese a lot of them towards the end. Outside of those bigger stealth scenes, I actually really enjoyed the gameplay. Finding creative ways to get through the hordes and hordes of flesh-eating rats. Being able to actually explore different areas before the rats turn up was quite a nice change, especially on the island, because the island looks incredible. It has such a great opening as well to the story, because you feel like they've really succeeded from the first game in getting some peace and quiet, and then bam, suddenly everything goes wrong and you're hurled into the chaos of the rats again. The chaos of the story is really well done. It's just like everyone's looking out for themselves pretty much, and then Hugo is just this kid that people are trying to take advantage of because of his power to control the rats. And in the end, he ends up paying the price of having that power, because Amicia ends up having to kill him to save the world, basically. I am really looking forward to what they bring next, because at the end of the game, after Amicia sets out to leave more clues for the next carrier, it shows a child lying in a hospital bed, and you see the lines creeping up the arm. If they're setting the next game in a more modern world, I'm 100% on board. At number 1, and by far the biggest surprise of the year for me, because my best game of 2022 is in fact Elden Ring. That's right, me, who quit Dark Souls 1 after I somehow glitched through the floor in Blighttown and lost all my souls, and because of it, haven't touched another Souls-like since. Now I have a Souls-like as my game of the year. I initially only picked this game up because of a recently released mod at the time, the Seamless Co-op. So I started playing with Nick and Bunchy, but I don't know, something about the game just hooked me in, and I ended up playing it by myself. Ended up finishing it 3 times by myself and once with Bunchy, so finished it 4 times. There's just so much to do in this game, and the world is just so fascinating to explore. I really like the fact you can just do basically whatever the hell you want to do in it. You want to explore caves and side stuff? Go ahead. You want to beeline the story? That's fine too. There's so many viable builds to play with. Like, I played with a great shield and one of the lighter weapons. I did a playthrough with dual katanas, a playthrough with one of the great swords and other massive weapons, and I did a full magic build for the co-op run. I mean, what is there to say? It's a Souls-like, but set in an open world. So I mean, with me saying that, you kinda know what you're getting. The story is definitely there, and I am definitely not capable of attempting to explain it. So I'm sure there's like a 5-hour video on YouTube of someone breaking that down if you're so inclined to find out about it. So yeah, Elden Ring is my game of the year.